Pandemic COVID-19 that hits globally does not block other natural events from happening. This year, on 2020, is expected to endure hurricane season as their threatening warm water and seasonal weather happen.
There are some conditions or factors needed to create a hurricane. The first condition is the ocean water temperature must be greater than 25 degrees Celsius so that it can provide an abundance of water vapor to the atmosphere through the evaporation process. Second, warm and moist air supply huge amount of latent heat as the water vapor in the air condense and it create the storm. Another condition is the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect causes the hurricane spin counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. In general, hurricane cannot occur directly in the equator because in there is no Coriolis effect. So this condition usually found during the late summer and early fall when the tropical and subtropical ocean are at their maximum temperature. Tropical storms are classified according to their maximum sustained wind speed. If winds are less than 61 km per hour, the storm is classified as tropical depression. And if winds are between 61 and 120 km per hour, the storm is called tropical storm. And if wind exceed 120 km per hour, it's being called as tropical cyclone. The Saffir-Simpson scale of hurricane intensity divide tropical cyclone into categories based on wind speed and damage. For the first category, the wind speed is between 120 to 153 km per hour and it can cause minimal damage. Next, second category, the wind speed is between 154 to 177 km per hour and it can cause moderate damage. So the third category, the wind speed is between 178 to 209 km per hour, so the damage is extensive. For the fourth category, the wind speed is between 210 to 249 and it can cause extreme damage. And lastly, the fifth category of the Saffir-Simpson scale of hurricane intensity, the wind speed is greater than 250 km per hour and it can cause the damage is catastrophic. The development and the movement of hurricane. Hurricane originate in low latitude region that have warm sea surface temperature. One form, hurricanes are influenced by the trade wind, so they generally travel from east to west. Hurricane curve to the right in the northern hemisphere because of the Coriolis effect, so they are steered into the medial latitude. As hurricanes move into the medial latitude, they are influenced by the prevailing westerlies, which cause them to move from west to east. And then, one hurricane track away from the tropic onto land or cooler water, the energy source is cut off, which cause hurricane to dissipate.
Hurricanes are categorized based on their wind speed, so does their damage. Until year 2020, there are several named hurricanes that listed as costliest hurricanes based on destruction they cause. Top 3 costliest hurricanes. Top 1. Hurricane Katrina 2005. Being top 1 costliest hurricane with total $160 billion cost damage, destroyed and damaged 800,000 housing units, destruction in Mississippi coastal area and inland area, caused flooding in New Orleans. Top 2. Hurricane Harvey 2017. Being top 2 costliest hurricane with about $125 billion cost damage, categorized as Type 4 hurricane with 130 meter per hour wind speed, caused 103 deaths, flooding and destroyed house and millions of cars. 3. Hurricane Maria 2017 with $90 billion. Maria hit numerous islands in Caribbean a month after Hurricane Harvey. Knocked down power across the entire island in Puerto Rico. Destroyed home, road, and bridge. Caused 63 direct deaths, but more than 4,600 deaths due to complication post-storm.
And now, let's take a look on how to forecast a hurricane. When it comes to forecasting a hurricane, we will use several models which require various data. These data are collected or gathered through various methods. We can either fly an aircraft into the hurricane, which involves flight engineer, pilot, navigator, and meteorologist. We can also use satellites.
Verified satellites are deployed.
Congratulations on a successful deployment.
We can also use UAV or drones. We can also use a drop that having sensor or many other methods. While hurricane forecast models vary tremendously in their structure and complexity, they can be separated into a few broad categories. And the first one is dynamic models, which is supercomputers to solve the mathematical equations governing the physics and motion of the atmosphere. And the next one is the statistical models, which are based on historical relationships between hurricane-specific information and the behavior of historical hurricanes. Thirdly, the statistical dynamical models blend both dynamical and statistical techniques by making a forecast based on established historical relationships between storm behavior and atmospheric variables provided by dynamic models. Fourthly, the trajectory models, which move a hurricane along a forecasted track based on large-scale environmental wind field obtained from a separate dynamic model. And some models use multiple forecasts created with different models, different physical parameterizations, or varying model initial conditions to create a single assembled forecast. And finally, numerical models of storm surge, wave, and coastal flooding are used to forecast hurricane impacts at landfall instead of hurricane track and intensity. All these models require basic data which can be obtained by several methods mentioned earlier. So, in conclusion, there's plenty more room left to be discovered and learn about hurricanes. This kind of event, definitely intriguing and interesting to not only scientists and researchers but also the public. Even though we use science to understand to comprehend this event, but we should know that there's also something that science can explain, because it's all under his governance and his power, but only those who wise can realize that. And that's it for now. Thank you.